everybody. Welcome to Unbound Wisdom. Today's topic is one that I have been thinking about for some time now, and I'm starting to have even more concerns about it. I just see massive amounts of trauma that have happened to us on the collective level for many years, but especially since 2020 happened and everything that has happened ever since. I see a huge potential for a massive amount of trauma being stored in our physical bodies and in our mental bodies and our etheric bodies, our emotional bodies. When I'm talking about trauma, really I'm speaking of those instances where we as humans experience a very acute and severe emotion that we are unable to understand or process in the moment. When this happens, we call it a trauma because it is actually stored in our body. Then it resurfaces later on at times that maybe something similar happens and we're triggered in that moment. Or we slip into an unconscious response because somewhere in our subconscious that trauma has been stored. And really our bodies are incredible. We are incredible at being able to continue on. However, we may not continue on in the most healthy way, especially if we have a lot of these triggers that we aren't aware of, that are buried deep within our subconscious. And I see, ever since 2020, what has been happening on a mass scale is very intense emotion. The emotion of fear, the emotion of anger, very consistent uncertainty, worry, anxiousness. I have very severe concerns for people's nervous systems because we're not designed to live in that fight or flight state for that long. And many people are still living in fight or flight, whether they're, angry, scared, mistrustful, always feeling like they need to look outside of themselves for answers, right? These are difficult things for our nervous system to handle because if we don't give ourselves a proper period of relaxation and rest and renew time, we are constantly living in that fight or flight mode. And that's actually called the sympathetic nervous system, and it becomes overwhelmed. And it's very, very unhealthy, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So as a healer, these are things that I've really been considering. The amount of trauma healing that's going to need to happen on a mass scale over the next decade, truly. But it has led me to really think about the energy body and how it is affecting our energy body as well as our nervous system. And I think that there's several places in the energy body that has been quite affected ever since 2020 happened. And today I just want to cover the throat chakra because I feel like that is a very important chakra that is currently being attacked, you could say, because many of the events that have happened have led to people shutting down their thoughts, feeling afraid that they can't speak their truth, feeling silenced, whether it's censorship or whether it's just feeling like you can't speak your truth because you're afraid of what people will think about you, say about you. You're afraid of being canceled. You're afraid of being in a fight with somebody. These are really, really detrimental actions for the throat chakra. And also something that has concerned me from the very beginning of 2020 is what we are being asked to cover our faces with. Certain places. And not every place has as stringent of rules. However, covering up of the mouth can have severe effects on this energy center, which is actually like at the base of our neck. It limits our speech. It limits our breathing. So in conjunction with having that part of our face covered up and not feeling like we can openly speak our truth, these can have very, very, very severe and long-lasting effects on the energy center of the throat. So that's what I want to talk to you guys today about. Aside from just some of the more well-known ways of unblocking the throat chakra, I really want to go over some teachings that I have been super into lately. The past couple years, I've been stringently studying Rudolf Steiner's work, and he speaks about the throat chakra in a very important light. And I wanted to go over some of the ways that he recommends people work on developing that area, which can be highly helpful, I believe, in these times. So to start, the energy center known as the throat chakra. I think what we have witnessed over the last couple years is causing severe constriction in some people, if not blockages in this energy center. So it could be limiting the energy flow in the throat chakra or completely blocking it. But the throat is a very important area in our energy body. It serves as a bridge between the heart chakra and the upper chakras, which like the third eye and also the crown. These are the areas that we are able to receive and interpret multidimensional information, the higher chakras. And then our heart chakra is really, it is so important for us to be able to connect with the higher truth, connect with higher versions of ourselves, connect with the divine. All of it is so governed by an open and well-functioning heart chakra. But what ties the upper chakras together with the heart is the throat. So it's basically a bridge between the upper chakras and our heart. So it's important that we keep it open, if at all possible, and robustly functioning. So we use our throat chakra clearly for speaking, for sharing ideas, for representing ourselves truthfully, for standing in our authenticity. We use it for our voice. And our voice is really more than just words. Our voice is actually a large part of our own unique and individual energy signature. So when you think about it, if you listen to someone speak, we're getting more than just words. We're also receiving a frequency when they speak. And when we block the throat or constrict it, it changes that. It changes the quality of the frequency that we're able to receive from others and share with others. So a block in the throat severely restricts our ability to show up authentically in the world, and it impedes our ability to be able to contribute to the whole on an energetic level. This is so big. A block in the throat chakra impedes our ability to contribute to the whole. And also, this is another very interesting side note, a block in the throat chakra limits our ability to discern the frequency of truth in others. So if you are very aware when you listen to someone speaking and you're somewhat developed in your spiritual pursuits, you can notice if they are telling lies. If they're either lying to themselves or they're lying to you, you can tell when something is off, if your throat chakra is functioning properly. So we must have a well-functioning, robust throat chakra in order to discern the frequency of truth. Also a well-functioning and robust heart chakra. But the throat is so important, and I can see it being limited right now. And I feel like that's, on an energetic level, contributing to the lack of awareness that many of us might notice in the outside world, right? I feel like if we were to be able to have a better functioning throat chakra, lies would be revealed a lot easier and quicker. So how do we know if our throat is blocked? There's some interesting things that you can do or pay attention to basically in your daily life. Does your throat feel hoarse a lot? When you speak, does it feel like there's a frog in your throat? Do you feel like you need to clear your throat a bunch? This could be an indication that there is some stagnancy of energy in that area. Do you have a lump in your throat? If you're very aware of energy, you can sometimes feel like there's something stuck there, like a big lump that you feel like you have to swallow a bunch or clear your throat a bunch, and that often is just energy stuck in that energy center. And those of us that are sensitive to energy, we can listen to other people speak. Listen very closely to their speech. And you can tell that there is an energetic frequency that may indicate stagnation. So if you hear a little bit of wavering in someone's voice, or you hear a lot of like start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, that could be an indication of a stagnant flow of energy in that energy center. For ourselves, if we have a fear or distaste for speaking up for ourselves, that could be an indication that we have a block in our throat chakra. Hesitancy to speak, that's an indication. Or also, interestingly enough, on the flip side of the coin, oversharing. That can also be something too. Those people that sometimes say more than they maybe need to in a situation, or maybe you're somebody like that that's like, oh my gosh, I shared way more than I probably should have. That can be an indication of something going on in the throat area. Also can manifest in a physical level in having thyroid issues and having neck issues, whether it's like pain, tightness in the neck, or tenseness, tightness, soreness in the throat area. All can be very interesting, valid clues that there is something going on in that energy center. So, some of the more common ways that we talk about for clearing blocks in the throat are toning, that's huge, singing, amazing, humming, amazing. The color blue is often associated with the throat, so if you are sensitive to energies, even wearing the color blue can help. A lot of people are very much into crystals. Blue colored stones are usually associated with the throat chakra. For myself, I like lapis lazuli a lot. That one's often recommended. I also like kyanite. That's probably my favorite crystal for the throat chakra. Also tying up to the upper chakras as well. So I think that's why I tend towards the kyanite if I'm working with throat energy. Beyond that, for throat, those are some of the common ways that people might suggest that we work on blockages in the throat area. But as I told you before, I really want to speak a little bit about Steiner. If you're unaware of him, I highly recommend checking him out because he's a brilliant, brilliant man. And what's so interesting is that the vast majority of his teachings were in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'm always blown away with how his teachings are so relevant to what is going on today. He was an Austrian philosopher. He dedicated his whole life to finding a synthesis between spirituality and science. So for those that feel like they need proof that the spirit world exists, his work is really interesting to check out because that was his whole goal, is to bridge science and spirituality. He has countless writings surrounding very big mystical topics, including developing clairvoyance, how to do that, the steps to doing that, the astral body, astral projection, astral traveling, dream space, soul evolution and higher dimensional communication, also how to tap into Christ consciousness and the Christ consciousness stream. He was highly instrumental in founding many different things that we still use today, like the Waldorf education system. He was the founder of that. Very much in tune with nature and helping people be able to relate to nature more and use it in their daily life as well as in their spirituality. He worked on biodynamic agriculture too, which was a predecessor of our modern day organic farming. So as you can tell, he was very much involved in many different areas of society. But his teachings are so relevant even today. So specifically when he speaks about our energy body, he talks about what we consider the chakra system as, he calls them lotus flowers, which I love. And he talks about the development of the chakra system as specifically developing petals in the lotus flower along each of the chakras, what we consider chakras. And he purports that if we fully develop each of the lotus petals in each of the areas, we contribute to the optimal functioning of the energy center. And what I love about his teachings are that they are ways that we can employ in our daily life to develop our energy centers through awareness and conscious behaviors. Specifically, the throat is the one that I want to go over today. And there's 8 different teachings that he suggests that we practice in order to fully develop the throat chakra, which helps us to open it even greater, even if we aren't having any constriction in the throat. This is a really great thing for us to practice on the daily. But especially now during these times, these are incredible practices, I believe, for us to be certain that we are not allowing our throat chakra to be impeded by many of the things that are going on in the outside world. The first thing that he recommends, to pay attention to our ideas and our mental representations. So this means consciously eliminating programmed or conditioned thought patterns. And isn't that huge? I mean, that's the biggest part of awakening to me, is paying more attention to the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's consciousness, it's being present, it's being aware and in the moment. Paying attention to our thoughts. Why am I having these thoughts? Is this a conditioned thought? Is this a programmed thought? Is this something that I'm thinking because of trauma that has happened? Or a triggered response, right? Really, the very first and most important is conscious awareness of our thoughts and our mental representations. The second one is similar in that it is conscious decision making, understanding why we make the decisions we do. And this, of course, ties into the first one because it requires us to have meaningful and deliberate thoughts. So when we make a decision, we want to try not to make just a snap decision or a decision because this is what we've always done, but to really have conscious awareness as to why we are choosing what we're choosing. Third one, meaningful speech. This is big for the throat, huge for the throat. Striving for all of our words to have substance and purpose. So talking for the sake of talking will divert us from our path, according to Steiner. Avoiding conversations that are jumbled. This is a big one that he really teaches, that we want to try to steer clear of those conversations where everyone's talking at once and no one can really pay attention to the conversation because it is so loud and overwhelming and no one's really actually speaking to be understood or striving to understand the other person. They're all just talking for talking's sake. And you can see that happens all the time, right? Especially in the Western world. I can attest to that. But Steiner really encourages us to avoid these types of conversations. Instead, be ready to speak to and answer anyone, but only after having taken deliberate thought and thoroughly considered the issue at hand. So, pausing before we respond. And very importantly, really genuinely listening to what the other person has to say before we start to formulate what we're going to say next. This is such a common thing where you somewhat check out halfway through the conversation if the other person's speaking, because you're thinking about what you're going to say next, or something popped into your mind that you want to talk about. Steiner would really discourage us from doing that. Steiner would really encourage us to attentively listen to what the other person is saying, pause a moment, and then respond based on a deliberate assessment of what you really want to say. Meaningful speech. He says, quote, "We should talk neither too much nor too little." So that's very important too. If we are in a conversation where we feel like we're like pulling ourselves back, maybe it is one of those jumbled conversations that I talked about where everyone's just talking too much. We can sense that, especially as esoteric students, we can sense that we have a tendency to pull away from that conversation. And that's probably an okay thing in that instance. He would really encourage us to seek meaningful conversations with people where we feel like we can listen and understand and also contribute meaningfully to the speech. The fourth petal that he would like us to develop in order to have a very highly functioning throat chakra is ordering of our outer actions. So in this he means carefully considering the consequences of our actions. Tying back to an earlier petal where we talked about not just making a snap judgment. But this means like thinking a little bit further down the road. If I decide to do this, if I act in this way, what might happen? It is just conscious awareness again, though, isn't it? But also thinking ahead enough before you make the decision. How might this affect myself, my life, and those around me, those that I care about, the rest of the world, right? The fifth petal in the flower, living in harmony with nature and spirit. So we want to be neither over hasty nor lazy. So not rushing around all the time, but also not being lazy, right? Thinking about how can we contribute to the whole. And how can we be sure that our physical health is in a state that we can best contribute to the whole. So we want to regulate our habits so that a healthy and harmonious life ensues as a result. So the idea is to take care of our physical body, to spend time in nature, to strive to be as healthy as we possibly can. Not being super lazy and laying around and not doing anything, but also not rushing around so much that you aren't present in your life. The sixth one, purpose and efforting. So in this one, he teaches we want to assess our talents and abilities and act in accordance with this knowledge. We should not thoughtlessly place ourselves as mere cogs in the vast human machine, but instead try to understand our contributions, as our contributions are so much more than our greater routines, our daily routines. Basically, he's saying, understand where your talents lie. We all have a unique gift to bring to the world, a unique purpose that we are here to share with others. Understand what that gift is and how it can contribute and genuinely make the world a better place, right? To help other people, to heal other people, to teach other people. You know what? Whatever your jam is, really think about what makes you special and unique and what are you here to do to help others, you know? And we want to try to act in accordance with this knowledge. Not being so caught up in our daily routines that we don't recognize our value and we don't take actionable steps in contributing to the world around us. Seventh flower, the importance of learning as much as possible from life. So he's really big on the idea that there's no such thing as mistakes. They're merely opportunities for our own growth and expansion. And I love that one. I love that one. It's so true. If we can learn from every single thing that we do, it's never a mistake, right? If we've learned something from it and know a different way to try it next time, or learned valuable lessons along the way. We never make mistakes. The eighth and final petal, the importance of looking inward. This is big, huh? Taking counsel with ourselves, which basically means meditating, going inward, considering our actions, our emotions, learning who am I? Like, who am I really? Not who does society say I should be, or who did my parents teach me to be, but really, who am I on a soul level? Big questions. Shaping and testing our current understanding of the principles in our life, which is another ongoing thing that never ends. According to Steiner, we're encouraged always to take a restock of our principles, take a restock of our understanding of our life and what we bring to the world, our purpose, our path. It's just having an honest conversation with ourselves consistently to check in and see, am I on the path that I want to be on? Am I on the path that I'm fulfilling my soul's calling on? And am I on a path that is in alignment with who I really am on a soul level and what I came here to do? So, the practice of all of these activities perfects our lotus flower, according to Steiner, which furthers the development of our psychic senses and not only that, but it actually helps us to clear out programming and to be able to embody more of our own soul essence. It helps us bring more joy into our life, more creative flow into our life, more peace into our heart. And it really helps us to be able to weather the storm easier. So even though there may be chaos, turbulence, and hard times and going on in the outside world, we're just able to maintain that center of peace and love within ourselves, with the daily practicing of these activities. So really important to note, though, we can do all these things and contribute to the opening of our throat chakra, right? But on the flip side of the coin, if we do things like saying things that are untrue, telling lies, even speaking harshly of another person, if we refuse to speak up for ourselves, or we live in fear of speaking our truth, we can actually hinder the growth of our throat chakra, and we can shut it down, or even destroy pieces of the lotus flower. So, truthfulness, sincerity, and honesty are constructive forces, while lying, falsity, and insincerity, well, I love that one. Lying, falsity, and insincerity are destructive forces to the lotus flower and our throat chakra. So I really love that teaching because it's such important things that we can all do every day, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. We can actually take these aware steps on individually and truly make a difference in our lives, which will make a difference in the world around us too. So what I have decided to do, and I'm really excited to announce this to you guys, noticing that the world is going to need a lot of help, a lot of healing from trauma over the next little bit, I've decided to begin a Patreon group. So if you are interested, it's Unbound Wisdom on Patreon. You can sign up. It's I'm going to do $11 a month, and because I want it to be very accessible to everybody. What I will do is a monthly healing session that will be done in a group. And we're going to do it on Zoom, and you'll have the link emailed to you if you choose to sign up. It will be an energetic practice that we'll do, as well as a quantum healing session. And we'll have different themes every month. Some of the ones that I'm thinking of are uncovering core wounds and healing from them on the quantum. removing blocks in our life that are holding us back and healing from them on the quantum. Removing creative blocks, blocks with abundance, clearing ancestral lines, healing of past life trauma. I have so many different ideas that I want to do one every single month. And my plan is to feel into the collective as well as feeling into what the Patreon group needs the most or requests the most. And we will do a group healing session, but it will be such that it can be individualized to you. So what I'm seeing is 15 to 20 minutes worth of instruction on our group call. Then we will do 45 to 50 minute energy process as well as quantum healing. So you'll be in a meditative state and you will actually draw the energy from the Akashic Records into your body. I will help facilitate that. I will teach you guys how to do that on your own as well, so that you'll be able to access the information very readily as well as the healing energy of your own Akashic Records. And what this is going to do is help you clear out any of those traumas that you may have stored on in your energy body, even in your physical body. And at the final half hour of our meeting will be a question and answer session, as well as just a community sharing session, because I recognize that having a really intimate community, especially during these times where we can be fully ourselves and learn from one another and support one another, I think that there's massive value in that. So that's my plan for our Patreon group. The very first one I have scheduled it will be the end of January. So you can look into it, see if you're interested. If you're unable to make it live, that is completely okay. You can send questions in and I will respond to them during the live call. And I will send out a recording of our session to each and every person every time. So even if you are never able to make it live, you will still get to do all of the healings with the group and you'll still be able to have your questions answered. My hope is just really to bring a community together of really good humans that know that we're here to make a difference and also are willing to work on the shadows within ourselves to do so. So with that, I really hope that this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, as usual, please let me know. I'm always available to help. Thank you guys so much for being here. Until next time.